Okay, so for this garlic holder, I've thrown this and altered it. So now we're going to take our shore form. That's this tool here. Can be found at Home Depot. It's spelled S-U-R. Or you can get a fancy one from Mud Tools down over at Highwater. And what I've done here is I just kind of go in one direction and I sort of just count as I go, and I'm just squaring up the bottom of this jar here. So you're looking at going in one direction and you're just doing this on leather hard clay. You don't really want to get your tool wet because then it will just gunk up and won't work for you anymore. It also will rust it, which you're not really looking for. So you're gonna square that all the way up. And once you have the shape you like, you're gonna take your rib and come through and soften everything up. Once you finish with your sides and smoothing those out, you're gonna roll a coil about a little bit thicker than your thumb, and you're gonna cut 4 pieces, one for each corner. And you can see here what I'm doing is cutting the first piece and then all of my other pieces behind it so that they're all kind of close in size. I may have to adjust that in a second. And then you're going to roll these into a little ball. They will end up as a little cone shape, and I'll pre-fashion them to each corner before I slip and score, and they're ultimately going to be worked down into the body and the bottom of this little jar here. Once you have everything kind of pre-fashioned to your corners, you are going to mark around the edges of your little feet and slip and score those guys on. Once you get your feet scored on, you're gonna smooth those suckers down to your heart's content, and then smooth everything with a sponge and a soft rib. I recommend a smooth makeup sponge for smoothing pieces down. It helps keep those fine particles of clay in the piece that you're working on. The next step that we're going to do is trim the lid round. So you can tap it to center if that is something that you're comfortable doing. If you're not, you can also draw a light line with your needle tool or your fingernail. Where you have the skinnier side of that circle that you draw is where you have less clay. Where the line is thicker, you have more clay. So you want to move your item that you're recentering toward the side that you have less clay, the skinny side of the circle that you draw. And then you're going to lock that down with some small, thin, soft worms. And you want them to be fairly small in size so that your tool doesn't hit them as you trim that in the round. Once you get your lid locked down, you're going to take the center of a large loop tool and just kind of trim this lid into the round to get a shape that you like. And then once you're done trimming, I like to come through with a soft finishing rib. Red ribs are my go-to, and smooth everything out, all those tool marks that I just put in there. And then after you trim your lid, you're going to, if you take a piece of paper or plastic so you can pull the lid in and out fairly easily, you can stretch and kind of push and pull right where the flange and the lid meet. Since we altered this form, you are going to have to kind of you know, finagle that lid in there to where it's a good fit a little bit. So that's what I'm doing here. And then the next step is to map out where your cuts are going to be on your jar. I'm just kind of loosely drawing mine. If you want to be super precise, you can get rulers out. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to kind of do an initial draw, and then if I don't like it, I can delete those marks with my red rib. Then you're going to take a drill bit and drill 2 holes in the top if you intend on giving it a leather or a wire handle, which I am going to do for this guy. Okay, and then the next step for your jar is you're gonna cut where you made your marks. So take a sharp knife. I'm using a Dolan cutting knife here. An X-Acto knife or a sharp knife from your kitchen works just fine, as long as your clay is that nice leather hard consistency. We're gonna cut away those squares or whatever shape you've made, and then you're gonna bevel the interior and the exterior of those squares. Then you're going to take a soft makeup sponge, a non-porous sponge, and kind of smooth out all of your cuts and any sharp edges that you have.